Hi, my name is Melnar. I'll be taking over today. Your teacher suddenly had to go. I shall be teaching you about the skin and the integumentary system today. Have fun. Sit back. Relax. Let's go. I had to. Sorry. All right. Functions of the skin. So there's six main ones, even though in the lab it asked for a seventh one. We're going to go over the six majority of ones. Protection, body temperature regulation, cutaneous sensation, metabolic functions, blood reservoir, and excretion. That last one that was mentioned in the lab was the fact that it acted as an endocrine gland, but that kind of falls under the category of metabolic functions too. So we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's take a look at the very first one. The first one was protection. And there's a couple of different ways that your skin protects you. One of the ways is chemically. Your body has the ability to secrete different compounds that are able to help to retard the growth of bacteria. So sebum, for one. Sebum makes a substance that actually reduces the amount of bacteria that grow. It kills bacteria. So it's like a bactericide. So sebum, the oil, that all over your face helps to kill bacteria, which is funny because bacteria tend to get in our pores and end up causing acne due to infection inside. And then we also make this thing called human defensin, and it kind of makes sense. It's a defense against bacteria. And so these two secretions are what make the skin be able to get rid of bacterial growth, plus also just the sweat itself has a relatively low pH between 3 and 4. And what that does, it creates something called the acid mantle. Basically, it's a protective coating around us where we're slightly acidic, where bacteria do not like to grow. And so this acid mantle around us helps prevent the bacteria from growing on us. Another thing is melanin protects skin from UV radiation. So when UV radiation is trying to get in, the melanin is there to block it and disperse it. So chemical barriers, melanin is a chemical, the secretions that we produce are chemicals, so that's why they're under the category of chemical barrier. Also under protection, we have physical or mechanical barriers, and that would be the skin itself. Skin is a relatively continuous sheet that wraps us up and keeps us all self-contained. So it provides protection from things trying to dwell into us. It also waterproofs the skin for the majority. We do absorb certain amounts of water, especially in the bathtub or pool for too long. But we can, for the most part, water just kind of bubbles up on us like this and keeps out, because water can carry all sorts of germs and particles that can diffuse into our body, but we don't want that. So the skin keeps most of those things out. And the only places where there's openings in the skin, like a cut or a wound, or your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, all those areas are exposed, and so we have different types of barriers from keeping the things out. But for the most part, the skin does a really good job of that. Okay, and then we have biological barriers. Those are things that we produce that are alive, cells, so cellular stuff that also helps to prevent things from attacking us. One of them is the Langerhans cells that we talked about with the epidermal layers, that they act as macrophages. And macrophages, remember, this means big eaters. And so these are things like white blood cells. So white blood cells, as you could probably remember from biology, they come along and they just eat germs and bad stuff. And so this is just kind of showing a picture. Here's your epidermis. Here's some radiation coming in. But say a little bacteria got in there, well then these white blood cells or the Langerhans or the macrophages would come through and try to destroy that bacteria and make it safe for us. And that's pretty much what a zit is. The pus inside is just a bag of dead bacterial cells and spent white blood cells. And so all that is just all the waste product from bacteria getting in you and your body trying to clean up the mess. And then DNA itself actually scatters ultraviolet radiation and keeps it from damaging other areas. The only problem is sometimes the DNA will get damaged by the ultraviolet and cause mutations, which can cause cancerous growth. Okay, second function of the body was temperature regulation, and it says that on average we lose a half of a liter of water per day. 500 milliliters, that's a can and a half of soda. And it's so weird to think, I don't sweat that much. Most of it evaporates off of us before we even realize it. But we do. We lose a lot of liquid, which is why we have to replenish and drink all the time. Although, if you're super duper sweaty and you're exercising and you're running a marathon and it's 100 degrees outside, you can lose 12 liters. 12 liters of fluid. There goes the light again. Excuse me. Turn on. Turn on. Okay, my light went off. It doesn't see me. Oh well. So we know that sweat cools the body by, as the water evaporates, it carries the heat from us. Anybody know where this is from? What movie this is from? Tell me tomorrow. Or text, or Edmodo me. Tell me if you know where that's from. Okay. Let's see. Third thing, sensation. We have all sorts of different specialized nerve endings in our skin that allow us to feel. One of them are the Meissner's corpuscles. I'm not sure if you say the C in there. Corpuscle? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But those are, let's see if we can find some. Here we go. That one right there. And so that guy, you can see it measures temperature, cold, and it also allows for just basic touch. So when you just touch the back of your hand, those guys are picking it up and you can feel. And then we have the Merkel discs. If you remember, the Merkel discs were specifically located in the stratum basale, and it had a sensory nerve directly underneath it. So this one doesn't do a good job of showing that. We also have Pacinian corpuscles. Those are deeper into the hypodermis, and what those guys do is they pick up pressure. And so if you've got, someone pushes on you real hard, it feels different than this, and that's because of those guys are being stimulated and telling your brain that, hey, there's pressure on there. We also have cold receptors. We have pain receptors, which are usually free-ending nerves. Now, I don't know if you remember much about neurons, but a neuron kind of looks like this. It's got one tube, the body, and then lots of little nerve endings like this. Okay, it's a really bad drawing, but you get what I mean. Here's a nucleus. And so the senses always go in this direction. They get picked up by the dendrites and then head out the axon. Well, these are the dendrites of the neurons. And so they're there to pick up information directly from the epidermis and the dermis and the surrounding tissues. So the main ones you need to know are these three. There's lots of different kinds, but just know Meissner's for general touch, Merkel for touch, Pacinian for pressure and for pain. Okay, next one we've got number 4, metabolic functions. Our skin can do all sorts of neat things. One, it could turn cholesterol, which is normally a bad thing, into vitamin D, which is a good thing. So that's why it's always good to go outside and get some fresh sunlight, because the sunlight is helping to get rid of the cholesterol, turn it into something good, vitamin D. People who live in super cloudy areas like Washington don't get enough vitamin D because there's not enough sunshine. So they have to have what they call phototherapy, where they sit in front of bright lights. And, maybe not Washington, but other areas that are like Ireland that are chronic, one sunny day a year. They have these rooms that are just big giant lights, and that helps to turn the cholesterol into vitamin for them. Something else your skin can do is can disarm cancer-causing chemicals. It can actually take them and alter them and turn them into something not cancerous. Yay! But it could also turn harmless chemicals into cancer. Boo. So sometimes our skin gets the wrong information and goes a little psycho. And it could also turn on steroids. So this is a little picture down here showing how cholesterol, which is this little dude right here, gets turned into this guy, gets turned into this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and so on. But right here, this is vitamin D3, which is a little bit different. And then this one, you can see it's going cholesterol into this guy, into these two guys, which are good for us as well. So it's kind of interesting how sunlight in our skin has this ability. Another one, 5, blood reservoir. Your blood. So we're talking about you've got your epidermis and you got your dermis. Most of your blood vessels are here in the dermis. And then, of course, we've got the bigger ones, the thicker ones that are deep inside of our body. But our dermis has lots of blood vessels, as we can see by looking at this face right here. And so at any given time, our skin holds about 5% of the blood's body supply. And so when you blush or when you're really warm, then it gets higher because your your body wants to get rid of all that excess heat. And so that's why you get red when you exercise, because all that blood is rushing to your skin. But if you're really cold, then all that blood, the 5%, is going to go into your core to keep it warm inside. So this is, if the capillaries break, they bleed out and they look like this. That's what varicose veins are, is the bleeding of the vessels into your legs. I had a ex-student a couple years ago. She texted me a picture of her eyeball was completely red. The white part was all red. And she goes, "Here, I thought you would like this." And I said, "What was that?" She goes, "I threw up so hard last night, I popped the vessels in my eyeball." And I was like, "Oh, you're right, I do like that, but that's gross." But it just shows that these little bitty vessels hold a lot of blood. Okay, then we've got number 6, excretion. Normally our kidneys take our blood and filter out all the bad stuff, like this guy. That's ammonia. But every once in a while our skin can do the same thing. So ammonia, urea, which normally comes out in pee-pee, uric acid, salt, and excess water can also come out through your skin as well. So your kidneys are the main excretory organ, but your skin can also be considered excretory. And then we've got, oh yeah, there's 6. The 7th one is the endocrine. Again, I'm tired. So yeah, there you go. That's it. I thought there was something else. Now, I shall draw you a pretty picture. I shall draw you, what should I draw you? I'll draw you a sloth. Okay, so I need black. And some eyeballs. And, oh wait, we need brown now. And let's see. Ooh. Wait, I'm not done yet. Almost. Ooh. And over there. Ooh. I drew a sloth. Wait, he's got a little brown patch around him. Hold on. Ooh. Ooh. Or seal. Or Magneto as a sloth. I don't know. All right, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.